Welcome home residents, it's your Mayor Alistair back once again, and I have a bit of a grudge that I need to vent about. I love the MonsterVerse, it's easily my favourite set of films. Each one offers something unique to satisfy my extensive kaiju-sized needs. But it feels like there's a massive missed opportunity. The MonsterVerse has given us some of the most breathtaking, larger-than-life monster showdowns ever put to screen. But let's be real. These massive blockbusters take years to make, cost hundreds of millions, and pretty much every time rely exclusively on the star power of Godzilla and Kong. It's beginning to feel less like a MonsterVerse and more of a Kongverse featuring Godzilla. What if there was a better way to expand the MonsterVerse without breaking the bank or always leaning on the same two titans? Legendary, are you listening? Do this and the MonsterVerse could possibly be even bigger than the MCU. I mean, probably not, but we can always dream. But what could they do to expand the MonsterVerse? Big budget movies like Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire are awesome, but they're also incredibly risky. MonsterVerse films on average cost $175 million, and that's not even counting the marketing, which adds on another extra $100 to $150 million. A single misstep could spell disaster for the entire franchise.
We need Kong.
I guarantee if Godzilla vs. Kong wasn't already being filmed by the time King of the Monsters underperformed, it would have been cancelled. Low-budget films, on the other hand, are much more forgiving. By reducing costs, the MonsterVerse could produce even more content faster and focus on creative storytelling rather than over-the-top visuals or following whatever's trending at the time. This is why I think Legendary should consider releasing more films, but on a lower budget. Now, I'm not talking about replacing the big-budget blockbusters we all want to see, we'd still get them every few years, but between them, we could get smaller budget films set in the universe that gives other titans their time to shine. Let's look at possibly the best comparison that supports my argument. Cloverfield. How much do you think that cost? 80 million, maybe even 100 million because of its still amazing effects? No. $25 million. You could make 7 Cloverfield movies for the cost of one MonsterVerse film. That's insane! But the film that actually made me think about this idea is Apple TV's upcoming film, The Gorge, a new monster film from the director of The Black Phone and Doctor Strange, and also one of my favorite horror films, Sinister. For those that don't know what this is, it's a survival action film that follows 2 elite snipers that are assigned to a mysterious mission to guard either side of a deep and impenetrable gorge, without knowing what actually lies beneath them.
You need to stop what's in the gorge from coming out.
With the film heavily implying that it's either one or many monsters. It looks really cool, honestly, and I'm looking forward to checking it out and covering it on the channel. And because of its premise, it was clearly produced on a significantly smaller budget than a full theatrical release. They had to get creative by setting it in a confined location, but by doing that, they've made something that looks uniquely interesting. Now, when I watched the trailer, I thought to myself, how cool would it be if this was a secret MonsterVerse film? Like, at the bottom of the gorge, there's actually a Hollow Earth portal. But then I thought, nah, probably not. But then I thought, hang on, why haven't they made any films like this? What's stopping them? Of course, Apple is known for producing Monarch: Legacy of Monsters, but even that has a budget as big as the movies, just segmented into 10 episodes. And even then, they still string us on with the Alpha Titans. Why haven't they made any small to mid-budget MonsterVerse movies with, say, a $40 to $80 million budget and releasing it straight to streaming? We've seen other studios, mainly in the horror genre, diverting to smaller, more personal stories, like Universal's recent revival of the horror classics. Instead of films like The Mummy, starring the man that doesn't stop running, Tom Cruise,
Run.
that underperformed at the box office due to its enormous production costs, they've decided to make more traditionally relatable horrors like The Invisible Man and The Wolfman, which have like 5% of the budget of The Mummy. The MonsterVerse is packed with incredible monsters that have barely scratched the surface of their potential. Mothra and Rodan may not be big enough names for a huge budget theatrical release, But for a smaller scale, straight-to-streaming film, that's far less risky for the studio. There's also tons of original monsters just waiting to be explored, like Behemoth, Tiamat, the Mutos, Skullcrawlers, Kamazots, Doug, and they wouldn't even have to give Toho any money for the rights to the classic kaiju. Low-budget films also open the door to experimenting with the genre. Just imagine a found-footage style MonsterVerse film like Cloverfield, where the camera stays on the ground with the humans, giving us a first-person view of the chaos. Just imagine a found-footage film based on Behemoth, the giant sloth-like titan covered in vegetation. That could be the perfect focus for a movie about a group of monarch scientists studying him in the Amazon. Or how about a survival horror where people in a remote lab accidentally awaken a dormant titan and are having to escape the facility? You could totally make one about Abaddon with its smaller spider babies attacking people in the facility. That would be scary as hell. Or perhaps even a war film focusing on a team of soldiers out in Afghanistan that are attacked by a newly introduced desert-based titan. There's so much you can do that doesn't need to be a multiple country spanning end-of-the-world event. The smaller scale, more personal stories would make the MonsterVerse feel more real, whilst expanding the universe and focusing on the other monsters that the films rarely dwell upon. That would really answer the question, what's it like to live in a world populated by monsters? Of course, with lower budgets, it would mean they'd have to get clever with the ways they show the monsters, since CGI is possibly the most expensive aspect of production. They can't have scenes of entire city destruction, but instead, small pockets of the disaster scattered throughout the film. You can still portray the carnage extremely well, and oftentimes with greater, more realistic effect than what we see in the MonsterVerse films. Like, you can show all this over-the-top, fast-paced chaos all you want, they still made Cloverfield more impactful on a fraction of the budget. This means we'd get a more personal look at the monster attack, not just scientists somewhere safe in a facility talking about what to do, but real people in real locations trapped within the encounter. So even though they'd have a lower budget, it could lead to more creativity and perhaps a more impactful way of showing a Titan attack. And with streaming platforms becoming more popular, these films could thrive as exclusive releases, reaching a massive audience without the pressure of needing to earn upwards of $500 million at the box office. Now, we know that Apple is working on multiple TV show spin-offs outside of Monarch Legacy of Monsters, but we don't really know what it's going to be about, but I hope it's something that helps expand the MonsterVerse in new and meaningful ways. Let's face it, the MonsterVerse isn't going to beat Marvel with the sheer output of movies. Disney simply has a bottomless pit of money that they seem to be perfectly happy to burn. Legendary doesn't have that privilege. So let the Titans thrive in their own niche, with smaller, more personal movies that would do well even without being connected to the Godzilla and Kong universe. Legendary has done quite a lot with the MonsterVerse since its inception in 2014. We have 5 movies, a bunch of graphic novels, and several TV series, but they could definitely be doing more with the concept. The MonsterVerse has so much potential beyond Godzilla and Kong. By embracing lower budgets, Legendary could explore new stories and focus on unappreciated titans to expand the world in ways we've never seen before. We could get more films that are darker and grittier in tone, or ones that are even lighter-hearted. They can take more creative risks. It's a win for the fans since they get more monster media, and it's a win for the studio as they make more money thanks to a lower profit threshold. And they grow the fan base for the series to an even greater level. Alright, Legendary, you've heard my advice. Make it happen. I want a Behemoth movie now. But what do you think? Would you watch lower budget MonsterVerse films focused on Mothra or Behemoth? Let us know in the comment section down below. And don't forget to subscribe and stomp the notification button for more kaiju content. I've been Alistair, and we'll see you residents in the next one.